Seduction is not a collection of tricks or a game of words. It is a profound process where two unconscious minds interact. If Carl Jung had written about seduction, he would not have focused on flowers or fancy dinners. He would have told you that every woman carries within her an ancient image, a blueprint of the ideal partner. The winner is the one who can match that blueprint, fitting like a key into a lock. Most men make a fatal mistake. They try to appeal to her persona, the social mask she wears for the world. They are polite, predictable, and boring. But Jung taught us that true energy lives not in the light, but in the shadow. To become more than just a friend to her, to become an obsession, you must learn to speak to the parts of her she hides even from herself. This is not manipulation in a primitive sense. This is knowledge of the human soul that has been gathering dust in volumes of analytical psychology for decades. Today, we blow the dust off that knowledge and apply it where the stakes are higher than ever, in love and passion. Before we descend into the rabbit hole of the unconscious, I have a request. This material is complex, deep, and mind-altering. Give this a like in advance if you are ready for a serious conversation rather than superficial advice. And if you are new here, subscribe. We are beginning the immersion. Carl Jung introduced two fundamental concepts to psychology: the persona and the shadow. The persona is the mask. It is who we want to appear to be: polite, intelligent, proper. The shadow is the basement where we hide everything society deems bad: our aggression, our lustful desires, our greed, and our true power. The paradox of modern dating is that men try to seduce a woman through her persona. They show their best polished sides. But Jung argued that what you resist persists. The more a woman plays the role of the good girl, the more her shadow yearns to break free. She searches for a man who will be the key to that cage. This is why the bad boys so often win. It is not because they are villains, it is because they are not afraid of their own shadow, and most importantly, they validate hers. When you behave too perfectly, you force her to stay in her mask. You are boring because she cannot be whole when she is with you. How do you apply this in practice? Jung spoke of shadow integration. In the context of seduction, this means stop judging her dark sides. Instead, provoke them gently. If she says something cynical, do not lecture her. Smirk and say, "I finally hear what you truly think. There is a bit of a devil in you, and I like that." In that moment, you do something no one has done before. You give her permission to be herself. The psychological mechanism here is simple and brilliant. We fall in love with those in whose presence we feel alive, and we only feel alive when our shadow comes out to play. Become the one who walks her demons, and she will adore you like an angel.
The second pillar of Jung's teaching is the anima and animus. Jung believed that within the subconscious of every man lives an inner woman, the anima, and within the subconscious of every woman, an inner man, the animus. This animus is a collective image of her father, book heroes, historical figures, and her own unfulfilled masculine qualities like will, logic, and firmness. Pay attention, because this is the most important thought. A woman never falls in love with the real you. That is impossible in the early stages. She falls in love with the projection of her animus onto you. To her, you are simply a screen upon which she broadcasts her own internal movie. Most men ruin this movie by trying to be too honest and open too soon. They start talking about their problems, fears, and the dull details of everyday life. They become too human, the screen goes dark, and the magic vanishes. Jung would advise you to let her project. Become an empty vessel at the start of the interaction. Speak less, listen more. Use the technique of archetypal amplification. If you see she is looking for protection, do not just help her, do it silently and confidently as her inner animus would. If she seeks intelligence, do not brag about a degree, but ask a question that flips her worldview upside down. The task of a Jungian seducer is to catch the contours of her animus. Who is he? A warrior? A sage? A rebel? Listen to her complaints about other men. What she criticizes in others is what she lacks to match her animus. If she says everyone is so indecisive, it means her animus is a leader. Your strategy is to show firm decisiveness even in small things, like choosing a table at a restaurant. When the projection clicks, what we call falling in love occurs. It is a moment of recognition, a feeling that she has known you her whole life. And of course she has, because she is communicating with a part of herself that you have successfully reflected. Friends, we have only just begun our descent into the depths of Jungian psychology, and we have already uncovered mechanisms that popular coaches never mention. If you have already recognized yourself or your past mistakes, give this a like. It helps the algorithms understand that this content is needed. And a quick question for those who are thinking. Do you believe your dark side, your shadow, is more likely to repel women or attract them? Type repels or attracts in the comments. It will be interesting to see the statistics. Jung argued that we are governed not only by personal experience, but by the collective unconscious, a memory of generations hardwired into our brains. This is where the archetypes live, the ancient scripts like Beauty and the Beast, the Savior and the Saved, or the Master and the Apprentice. When relationships develop on a mundane level, like asking how her day was or going to the movies, they are weak. But when a relationship falls into the track of an ancient myth, it gains the power of a hurricane. The energy of the collective unconscious sweeps you up. Your task is to create a myth about your meeting. Jung called this a numinous experience, a sacred awe. How do you do this? Stop being ordinary. Your appearance must carry a symbol. Do not just text, "Let us meet." Write that you saw something today that reminded you of a conversation you had, even if you only met a day ago. You must place her in a story, not a children's fairy tale, but an adult, sometimes dark myth. Think of the myth of Hades and Persephone. Hades did not ask for permission, he offered her a pomegranate, a symbol of knowledge and temptation. Offer her new experiences as a form of initiation. Tell her you will show her a place she has never been, but make her promise not to be afraid. This activates the archetype of initiation. You become a guide to a new world. Jung said that a life without myth is a pathology. Modern people suffer from boredom and meaninglessness. If you become the one who brings a plot into her life, she will not just fall in love, you will become her religion. Because, as Jung wrote, man cannot stand meaninglessness. Give her meaning. Give her a role in a great drama.
Carl Jung described a phenomenon he called synchronicity. It is an acausal connecting principle, a moment when a person's internal state suddenly coincides with an external event appearing as magic. Recall Jung's classic example of the patient telling him a dream about a golden scarab just as a real scarab beetle tapped on the window. That moment broke her logical defenses and she believed in the miracle. In Seduction, synchronicity is your primary weapon against her logic. Women, more than men, are tuned to look for signs. An ordinary guy hopes for luck, but a Jungian seducer constructs it. How? You must create a resonance effect. This requires the attentiveness of a scout. First, the verbal seed. In the first conversation, she casually mentions she loves jazz or a specific book. Most men let this pass by. You, however, remember it. You do not react immediately. Then, incubation. You wait a week. You let this information cool down in her memory. Finally, the synchronous strike. You set a meeting in a place where exactly that jazz is playing, or you bring the book that just happened to be in your car, saying it is strange because you stumbled upon it today and for some reason thought of her. To her brain, this is not a coincidence. It is a sign. It is fate. Jung said synchronicity points to a connection of meanings. When you create these coincidences, you become part of her destiny. She stops evaluating you critically and starts looking for mystical significance in your union. Whoever masters synchronicity masters her faith in the future. But be careful, this must not look like stalking, it must look like flow. The key phrase is, "It is amazing, I was just thinking about the same thing. It seems we are on the same wavelength." You confirm her hunch and the trap closes. Developing Jung's ideas, his followers identified 4 basic masculine archetypes. These are the 4 legs of the throne upon which the ideal man sits in her mind. The problem for 90% of men is that they are stuck in just one. The nice guy is stuck in the lover. He is soft but weak. The tyrant or abuser is stuck in the shadow warrior. He is strong but dangerous. The nerd is stuck in the magician. He is smart but detached from life. To trigger total attachment, you must switch these modes like gears in a sports car. Let us break each down and how to activate them. The warrior archetype is about aggression, purpose, and boundaries. The warrior is responsible for the ability to say no and protect territory. A woman tests your warrior when she starts being moody or crossing boundaries. The mistake is trying to please her or getting offended. The Jungian move is a calm, cold firmness. Tell her you hear her, but you will do it the way you decided because it is the best option. Do it without shouting. A warrior does not shout, he acts. When she sees you cannot be moved by manipulation, she feels safe. Her unconscious whispers that if you can protect yourself from her, you can protect her from the world. The magician archetype is about intellect, mystery, and technology. The magician possesses knowledge inaccessible to others. He sees the essence of things. This is what we are doing now, analyzing the depths. To activate it, do not talk about the weather. Talk about reasons. When she tells a story, do not respond to the events. Respond to the subtext. Tell her you see that she is not actually angry at her friend, but simply afraid of being alone. The effect is that you become an X-ray. The magician fascinates because he knows secrets. A woman wants to be figured out, but fears it. Balance on this edge. The lover archetype is about sensuality, empathy, and pleasure. This is not about sex in a primitive sense. It is about a zest for life. The lover knows how to enjoy food, music, and the beauty of the moment. To activate it, slow down. The warrior is fast. The lover is slow.
It is the ability to look into her eyes and tell her to freeze for a second, to see how the light falls on her face. If you were just a hard warrior and now you have become a sensual lover, it blows her mind. Emotional range is the key to addiction. The king archetype is about order, blessing, and vision. The king unites everyone. He does not hustle. He sees the future. This is the rarest archetype in young men. To activate it, take responsibility for the strategy. Do not ask where you are going. Tell her you want to show her the world as you see it, and tell her to follow you. A king approves and praises not like a pet, but like a subject who has performed a feat. His praise is a gold medal, not a treat. An ideal Jungian date is a journey through all 4 archetypes. You start as the king, organizing everything. Show the magician in conversation by surprising her with intellect. Switch on the lover to create atmosphere, and end as the warrior by confidently taking her home without insisting on sex, showing self-control. This combination breaks through any defense. Friends, let us do a quick diagnostic. This is important for understanding your strengths and weaknesses. Which of these 4 archetypes is most developed in you? The warrior, the magician, the lover, or the king? Type the name in the comments. I will see who we have more of and perhaps do a separate breakdown on how to level up the lagging qualities. Do not be shy, we are all friends here. Jung used the term transference. In psychotherapy, this is the moment when a patient transfers their childhood feelings for parents onto the doctor. In seduction, the same thing happens. You become a figure possessing magical power because you occupy the place of the primary authority in her psyche. But Jung warned that where there is power, there is no love, and where there is love, there is no power. This statement seems controversial, but in the context of dark psychology, it means one thing. At the seduction stage, you are building power. Love is a union of equals. Passion and obsession are always a hierarchy. To start the transference process, you must become a mirror. Use the technique of active shadow mirroring.
When she talks about her fears or mistakes, do not comfort her with phrases about everything being fine. Those are motherly phrases. Tell her she acted that way because in that moment her rage was stronger than her fear, and that it is normal because there is strength in that. You are reframing her sin into her strength. In that moment, you become the only person on earth who does not judge her, but also does not pity her. You understand her at the level where her conscience lives. Whoever manages her guilt and her forgiveness owns her soul. This is dangerous territory. Jung called this the mana personality, a personality endowed with a magical power of influence. A woman begins to feel a physical pull towards such a man because he lifts the burden of internal conflict from her. She thinks that with him she can be anyone, and that freedom becomes the strongest drug.
Jung argued that the world is ruled by two principles. Logos is the masculine principle: logic, structure, meaning, and separation. Eros is the feminine principle: connection, relationship, feeling, and union. The fatal mistake of 99% of men is trying to seduce a woman using logos. They try to convince her to be with them. They bring arguments, boast about facts, and argue. Remember, once and for all, logic is the enemy of passion. You cannot negotiate attraction. You cannot rationally justify why she should want you. The more you switch on logos by explaining, justifying, and proving, the more you kill eros. A Jungian seducer acts differently. He knows that a woman hungers for eros, for emotional connectedness. Use the technique of disabling logos. When she asks you a provocative question like why you did not call or if you are a player, her inner animus wants a battle of logical swords. An ordinary man starts making excuses. A master of the Jungian game steps toward eros. He does not answer the question directly, he answers the emotion. Instead of saying, "I was busy," he tells her she is so passionately angry and tells her to come to him. Instead of denying being a player, he smiles and says he just loves women who know what they want, like her. By shifting the focus from facts to the connection, you disarm her animus. Her logical defense falls because she has no one to fight. You are not warring, you are enveloping. This is the highest form of control, control through non-resistance, like water that always defeats stone. Dreams are a small hidden door into the deepest secrets of the soul, Jung wrote. If you want to live in her head for a long time, you must become the hero of her dreams. Do you think this is impossible to control? You are wrong. The psyche is susceptible to suggestion. This is the dream implantation technique. People, especially women in love, are very receptive to the language of images. For her to see you in a dream, you must tell her your dream about her. But it should not be a vulgar dream. It must be an archetypal dream. Tell her you dreamed you were in an ancient, deserted city, and she was looking for a way out, while you knew where it was but could not say, only holding her hand. Tell her you woke up with a very real feeling of her warmth on your palm. Why does this work like a virus? To understand your story, her brain is forced to construct that image. She herself creates a video file in her head where you are together and you are her savior. It creates an effect of incompleteness because the dream was strange and fragmented, so her subconscious will want to finish watching it. You also mentioned a tactile sensation, the warmth of the hand, which acts as an emotional anchor. Statistics show that after such a story, there is a high probability she will see you in a dream within the next 3 days. And when a woman sees a man in a dream, she wakes up thinking it means she loves him, though in reality, you planted that thought. Stop for a second. We are touching on things that look like magic, but are pure neurobiology and psychology. Write in the comments, have you ever dreamed of the person you had not even thought about, and after that dream you suddenly began to feel a pull toward them? Just a yes or no. Let us check how strong this effect is among us. And if you want to know how to make her start telling you her dreams, which is the key to her secrets, give this a like. I will see that the topic of dreams is interesting to you. Jung used the word syzygy to denote the union of masculine and feminine principles, the divine pair,
like the sun and the moon. The ultimate goal of Jungian seduction is to create the feeling in her that you are not just a guy she has fun with, but her metaphysical half. This is what pop culture calls soulmates, but we go deeper. To activate the syzygy, you must create polar tension. Physics states that like poles repel, but opposites attract. It is the same in psychology. For her to be an absolute woman, characterized by eros, fluidity, and emotion, you must be an absolute man, defined by logos, firmness, and spirit. If you start to become hysterical, gossip, or hesitate, you move into the feminine pole. In response, to maintain the balance of the system, she is forced to move into the masculine pole. She becomes cold, hard, and controlling. Jung called this possession by the negative animus. Have you noticed this? As soon as you show weakness, she immediately becomes shrewish. It is not because she is bad, it is the law of conservation of energy. The secret of the divine pair is to hold your pole. Even if everything is collapsing, you remain the immovable center. Be the rock. She can rage like the ocean and break against you in waves, but you will not move or break. When a woman feels this statics, she experiences an almost religious ecstasy. She can finally relax and enter her pure eros. In this state, she will tell you she has never felt this way with anyone else, because with others, she had to be the man. With you, she became herself. We talked about the dark shadow, but Jung also has the concept of the golden shadow. These are the talents, greatness, and success that a person has suppressed because they were afraid to stand out or did not believe in themselves. Women often project their golden shadow onto men. They fall in love with those who possess the qualities they would like to develop in themselves. Do you want to become her idol? Find out who she dreamed of becoming but did not. If she dreamed of being an artist but works as an accountant, your creativity and freedom will drive her crazy. You will become the bearer of her lost soul. If she wanted power but became a housewife, your ambition and influence will be a magnet. She will gravitate toward you to touch her unrealized potential. It is a harsh truth. We often love others for living the life we forbade ourselves. Become the embodiment of her dream of herself, and she will never let you go, because losing you would be equivalent to losing herself.
Jung wrote that complexes are knots of psychic energy, and the most powerful knot in a woman's psyche is the father complex. This is not necessarily daddy issues in a vulgar sense. It is the model of the first man that influences everything. Most men fear this. They do not want to be daddy. But a Jungian seducer understands he cannot change her past, but he can become the healing of her past. There are two types of scenarios, and you must quickly understand which is before you. An absent or weak father leaves a woman hungry for structure. She is chaotic, anxious, and cannot make a decision. Your strategy is total direction. You do not ask, you tell. Tell her to get ready because you are leaving, or that she should wear a certain dress. For another woman, this would be tyranny, but for her, it is an act of love. She sees in this the strength she lacked in childhood. You fill her void with your will. A tyrannical or critical father leaves her with an allergy to pressure. She is a rebel, fighting any control. Your strategy is the benevolent king. You do not press, but you do not bend either. You give her freedom, but remain unshakable. When she tries to provoke you as she provoked her father, do not punish her, just smile. Tell her you see she wants a war, but you do not fight those you love. This breaks her script. She expects a blow, but receives wisdom. This makes her fall in love without memory. Understanding her complex gives you the keys to her unconscious loyalty. You become the one she has been looking for since she was 5, and people do not let go of such figures. In pickup, these are called shit tests. Jung would call them the verification of the archetype. When a woman suddenly says something sharp, dismissive, or cold, she is not trying to insult you. Her unconscious is asking one question: are you really a warrior, or are you just wearing his mask? If you get offended, make excuses, or get angry,
You failed the test. You showed that you are captured by emotions. You are not a man, you are a hysterical child. To pass tests the Jungian way, use the energy of the trickster or the magician. Instead of taking the blow to your persona, let it pass through you and return it in the form of a joke. If she calls you a player, an ordinary guy tries to be honest and fails. The Jungian trickster agrees with the absurdity, perhaps saying he leads an international union of players with meetings on Thursdays. Laughter kills aggression. Agreeing with the absurd shows your reality is stronger than her provocation. You are not afraid of her opinion. And a man who is not afraid of losing a woman's approval becomes her most desired prize. Because, as we remember, a rare man is worth more than an ideal one. A short pause. Think of the last time a woman or anyone tried to sting or test you. What was your first reaction? Aggression, excuse, ignoring, or humor? Honestly write in the comments. This will show which archetype switches on in you during stress. And if you want to learn how to answer so she instantly changes anger to favor, give this a like. Next, I will talk about the most underrated archetype.
The trickster, Loki, Hermes, the Joker, is an archetype that breaks rules. Jung considered it necessary for a healthy psyche. A man who is always serious, only the warrior and the king, is boring. He is as predictable as a calendar. A woman may respect him, but she will not have butterflies in her stomach. Butterflies are born from uncertainty. Introduce the trickster in doses. It is the ability to be inconsistent. Today you give her flowers and take her to the opera. Tomorrow you steal her from work, eat street food on a roof, and make her climb over a fence. The day after, you are busy and cold. This cocktail does not allow her brain to adapt. The trickster creates playful stress. He makes you alive. Jung wrote that in every chaos there is a cosmos, and in every disorder a secret order. Be her personal chaos. Women adore bad boys specifically because the trickster is strong in them. They do not know what to expect. Become that, but remain reliable in what matters most. That combination is intoxicating. In alchemy, which Jung studied his whole life, there is a stage called calcination, purification by fire. It is when a substance is burned to clear it of impurities. In relationships, this is conflict. Many men fear fights. They think a fight is the beginning of the end. A Jungian knows that a fight is an opportunity to burn the personas and meet as souls. When she shouts, cries, or accuses, her mask of a good girl has burned away. Before you is her raw essence. Do not extinguish this fire immediately. Do not run away. Stand in this fire. Look her in the eyes. Tell her you see her pain and her rage and that you like her even like this, and you are not going anywhere. This is the moment of truth. Most people in her life rejected her in anger. Parents sent her to the corner. Exes left slamming the door. If you stay and accept her shadow at the moment of maximum intensity, an alchemical wedding occurs. The bond becomes unbreakable. She understands that you can withstand her in any state, which means she is safe. It is after such storms that the most passionate sex and the deepest confessions happen. Use the fire to temper the steel of your bond, not to burn bridges. Jung introduced the concept of the transcendent function. It is the psyche's ability to unite opposites and give birth to something third, a new personality. In relationships, it works the same way. There is you, there is her. As long as you are just two people, you can be separated. But the high-level move is to create a third entity, a world of your own. How is this done? Through the creation of your own language and rituals. Any secret organization or religion relies on rituals. A couple is a secret society of two. Create a verbal code, your own names for things and situations. When you have a joke only the two of you understand in a room full of people, you feel isolated from the world and fused with each other. Use the power of the cycle. Create a rule that no matter what happens, on certain nights you turn off phones and share a quiet moment together. This is not just a habit, it is an anchoring of safety. When the world around is chaotic, this ritual becomes a bastion of stability. If you disappear, she will be left with an empty ritual that will cause physical pain. This is how indispensability is formed.
The main goal of life, according to Jung, is individuation. It is the process of becoming oneself, finding wholeness. A woman will leave a rich man. She will leave a handsome man. No, a woman will never leave the one with whom she grows. The deepest attachment arises when she understands that with him she becomes the best version of herself. Without him, she slides back. Your role is to be the sculptor. You must see her potential and gently push her toward it. Do not criticize her weaknesses. Challenge her strength. Tell her she is too smart to waste time on nonsense and that you see her differently. When she achieves success because of your faith and your push, that success is forever linked in her brain with your name. You become the author of her victories. This is no longer just love. It is existential gratitude. It is a master-apprentice link in an erotic context. It is inseparable. In the finale, we turn to the symbol of the mandala, a structure of absolute order. For a relationship to live forever, it must cover all 4 psychological functions according to Jung. Sensation, you must provide the best physical comfort and intimacy. Feeling, you must provide empathy, romance, and emotional range. Thinking, you must be an interesting conversationalist, build plans, and solve problems. Intuition, you must give her a dream, a myth, a common goal, and spiritual kinship. The problem for 99% of couples is an imbalance. Some only have sex. Some only have everyday life. Some only have talk. A Jungian master watches the mandala. If you feel stuck in the mundane, switch on intuition by doing something unexpected. If there's too much intellectual talk, switch on feeling. Rotate this wheel. Be the universe for her. Why would she look for someone else if all 4 elements are within you? We have reached the end. Jung called the alchemical wedding the moment when the king and queen, the sun and the moon merge into a single whole, giving birth to the philosopher's stone. In life, this is the moment when games disappear, manipulations disappear, fear disappears. What remains is a deep, calm knowledge that you are destiny. At this stage, you no longer need push-pull techniques. You do not need to play the trickster. You have integrated all archetypes. You have become her animus in the flesh. She looks at you and sees more than just a man. She sees her reflection, her support, and her meaning. Men like this are not left. Men like this are not betrayed, because to betray such a man is to betray herself. This path is long and requires work on yourself. You cannot become a Jungian seducer if you are empty inside. Start with yourself. Meet your shadow. Level up your king. And then women will gravitate toward you, not because you learned a couple of tricks, but because you radiate the glow of a whole personality. And that is the rarest magnet in our world. We have traveled from the shadow to alchemical gold. We have broken down why nice guys lose and how to become the one who governs the unconscious. I have given you the map, but walking the territory is up to you. Remember the words of Carl Jung. The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Be the element that changes everything. Be unforgettable. If this series has overturned your understanding of relationships, do 3 things. Subscribe because in future videos we will go into specific cases and mistakes. Hit the bell so you do not miss the practice. And most importantly, send this to a friend who is suffering because of a relationship. Perhaps this knowledge will save him. This was your guide to the world of dark psychology. See you in your unconscious. The end.